First, you got your visionary. They hear voices, you know. Next, we got hedonistic. These are lust killers. After that, the power control oriented. But I don't think our guy has any of those.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2024 action thriller Boneyard. The film is co-written and directed by Asif Akbar, and it stars Mel Gibson, Nora Zehendna, Gabriel Haw, 50 Cent, Brian Van Holt, and Spice Williams Crosby. Okay. This is based on true life events, or so it says, and it is about, there is a serial killer that they discover a load of bones sort of thing. There is a serial killer that's killed a lot of folk, and they bring in Mel Gibson's character, Agent Petrovich, who is an expert in this field. He's there to help them track down this killer. So you've got 50 Cent, who plays Chief Carter, and you've got Brian Van Holt's character, Detective Ortega, and a police detective called Detective Young, played by Nora Zehetna. And they're all out to bring this serial killer to justice. Right. What are my thoughts on Boneyard? Well, honestly, guys, this film tested my patience. It really did test my patience, this one. I'll generally watch anything, really, with Mel Gibson in. I mean, these days, the majority of the stuff that you see him in is this sort of stuff, you know. Less than stellar productions, should I say. He does pop up in other stuff, but the thing is, he's always watchable. He's always good. He always, you know, puts a professional performance in, and that's one of the only positives I can give here in this film, because it's quite clear that the lion's share of the budget went to Mel Gibson here, and 50 Cent probably, because they certainly didn't go to a scriptwriter or a screenplay or definitely director. I mean, there's nothing really to recommend here, and it's such a shame, because I like serial killer movies. You know, they can be really, really engaging and thrilling and tension filled, and, you know, trying to figure out who the killer is and all this kind of stuff. And this starts off interestingly enough when they bring Mel Gibson's character in, and he sits down and he kind of goes through his spiel about serial killers and what to expect and what they're looking for and stuff, and you're kind of thinking, yeah. And there are a couple of bright sparks in the film where you see, you know, the serial killer, what we presume to be the serial killer, kind of weirding out, I suppose. You know, he's quite a creepy thing. And then what drags this film down like concrete fastened to your feet and you chucked in this rivers is really dull dialogue, really dull police scenes, really dull interactions with characters that are mind-numbingly awful. And Mel Gibson only kind of appears periodically in the film and pops up, and okay, yes, you might perk up a bit when you see him, but you know he's, you know, contractually obliged to kind of, I don't know, do 6 days on the movie or something, probably less. So they've just tried to stretch out his, you know, segments into the film as much as they can. Everything else I can't recommend because it's really dull stuff. And it's not your typical hunt the serial killer type story. You think it's going to be that, and there are times when it tries to be that, but there's other stuff going on, you know, the usual police corruption-y type stuff, and you've got these other characters in the film, and you've no idea who they are, what they're doing. I suspect some of them are mates of 50 Cent, because they looked as much like policemen as, I don't know, you know, the crew working down at Greg's down the street here. They just made, very few of them made convincing police. And either that's because of their performances, the way they looked, the way they were presented, But how are you supposed to take them seriously as police officers when you've got 50 Cent as the chief of police here, Chief Carter? And I'm not kidding. I'm not here to rag on 50 Cent. I mean, I'm not a fan of his rapping because I'm not a fan of rapping in general. I've seen him in a handful of movies and he's never been good or memorable. Well, good or memorable will never be in the same sentence as his performance in this film. He mumbles. This is supposed to be an articulate chief of police. And that's it. We should have given that role to Mel Gibson if they're not going to use Mel Gibson properly. He would have made him a far more convincing chief of police. But nope, we've got 50 Cent as a chief of police. We've got to buy the fact that he's in charge of everything. And you can't understand really what he's saying because he's mumbling in most of his scenes. And it's truly cringeworthy stuff here. So I really genuinely didn't enjoy my time with this film. Even Mel Gibson couldn't save this one. And I've watched quite a few low-budget films these last 2 or 3 years. So Mel Gibson has made an appearance where he's not been like the main star. And, they've been watchable for the most part. There's been some duds, of course there has. But no, there's not much here that I can genuinely recommend here about this film. It's not a good serial killer type film. They don't put anywhere near enough attention into the serial killer to creep us out. Mel Gibson's in this film nowhere near enough, but you can understand why he's not in this film enough because they blew all the budget on the 6 or 5 days or less that they had him. 50 Cent is laughably bad here in this film. And like I say, it's just full of characters that you've no idea who they are or how they fit into the story. And there's a bizarre scene where Mel Gibson, there's a scene, I'm sure it's his daughter, gets shot and I'm presumed killed for reasons. I wasn't sure if it was a flashback scene or if it happened in real time, but there's no reasoning given as to why he's being targeted. First of all, by somebody shooting at him, and his daughter gets killed in the process, sort of thing. And you're just kind of like, okay, well that would work if you're trying to get Mel Gibson epped up to kick your ass, as it did in like Edge of Darkness and stuff, the films, but. He was just like, I've no idea what to do for this next scene. We're going to do this. And Mel Gibson probably thought, well, you've paid me enough. I'll do what you want. I don't give a shit. But yeah, I can't recommend this one, guys. It's one of the lowest rated films for this year for me, in my opinion. And it's definitely one to avoid, even, unfortunately, guys, if you're a fan of Mel Gibson. So thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this review. I'll be back with more content on the channel very, very soon.